one-story building 25 feet from the rear property line. The building is to serve as a rental office and clubhouse for the apartment complex. There are 11 buildings owned by the current property owner on Minton Drive and Debbie Lane. Section 10.10D5 from the Erlanger zoning ordinance states that the minimum rear yard depth shall be 50 feet. There is a 50 feet wide easement for overhead electric on the right side of the proposed building and a sanitary pipe and storm sewer pipe on the left side of the proposed building. These are restricting the building from being located closer to Minton Drive. So the applicant is requesting a setback variance of 25 feet.
All right. So in other words, actually, what we're dealing with is a setback of 25, from 50 to 25 feet.
Yes, sir.
And that's at the rear, I think.
Yes, the rear property line.
Yes, sir. Okay. Those of you that are going to speak for or against, please stand, raise your right hand. Y'all swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. The person making the request, please step to the podium and state your reason for your request, and make sure you push a button and the red light's on. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Jim Ritter. I'm an architect, and thank you for hearing our variance request. I guess I'd like to give you a little bit of background first. I work with DMG company that owns this complex for about 15 years, and they have a long history of buying property that's somewhat distressed and fixing it up and holding it. I don't know that DMG in the last 15 years has ever sold any property. They're always buying and fixing. And so they've committed, I don't know, Tanya will tell us, I think in excess of $3 million to repair the complex and upgrade the complex. I don't know if anybody's been by recently. But when you have 100 or 150 units, you need a location to rent the property, to talk to the residents, to find out what the repairs are, and a meeting place. And so we're proposing to build this building, and there's nowhere else on the site to put this clubhouse meeting room except here. And on top of that, we're confined by the fact that we have two easements. There's two easements and a property line that form a triangle for this building to go on. And we've tried to move the building as far away from the property line as we can. And so I think that's our request, and that's what our need's about. And that's a brief background of the building and the property.
Okay, now, 2 or 3 quick questions, okay?
Yes, sir.
First of all, you've asked for a building to be built within 25 feet of the property line in
Yes.
the rear. Second is, you're making a statement that this is going to be a meeting room for the people within the complex, if they so choose to meet there.
That's correct.
All right, now, that being stated as being, you're making that a part of your request,
Yes.
how many people are we looking at?
In the meeting room?
Sir?
I'm sorry, how many people are we saying would be in the meeting room?
Yes, sir.
Oh, gee, I'm sorry, I didn't bring the architectural drawings. I think the maximum occupancy is like 35 according to the building code.
Maximum 35.
Yeah.
So in other words, this to you, you're calling this a meeting room, others would call it a clubhouse or something
Yes.
of that nature.
Correct. There's also a room for fitness. So the residents can come in there and they swipe a card. And there's about 6 or 8 stations for,
There's a weightlifting room in there also.
oh, it's not weightlifting, it'd be a track. It'd be
All
the,
right.
okay.
Now, with that being said, there's 2 or 3 factors involved, okay? You're saying you want that to also be used as a, like a clubhouse room. what kind of parking have you provided?
Well, there's already parking on site, and there's about 10 or 12 parking spaces in front, and that hasn't been an issue. The population count of the apartment complex wouldn't change. Okay.
So, all right. Some of you others have a question?
Hello. What's there now? What's currently there? I haven't been by the site, so
It was a basketball court. It's been vacant.
there's a vacant basketball court
Yeah.
there now. And then what restricts you? Why are you having to move it back closer to the back property line versus moving it forward?
Well, we can't move it any far forward
Because of the street?
Yeah, because of the street and the easements.
The right of way, okay.
Okay. Can I talk on the easements a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. There was an easement written into the documents as to where the storm sewer and the sanitary sewer were to go. And when they built the complex, they built the sanitary sewer and the storm sewer out of the easement.
See.
And that further restricted us from moving the building forward away from the rear property line another 5 or 8 feet.
Okay,
Yep.
that's all.
We were talking about parking, and you said out in front of that you would have probably 15 spaces.
Yeah.
But there are apartment houses already there that have parking in front of them, is that correct?
Correct,
That
yes.
are within walking distance?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, can I get my site plan and I'll... It looks like we have 9 spaces in the front of the building. Those spaces were already there. They're existing already. What we've done is added sidewalk.
But you have all of those apartment houses
Yeah,
that are around
as
that
far as we know.
have parking that
Yeah.
would be within walking distance.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. As far as we know, the property is in compliance with the parking count for the number of units that are there. I'm sorry, I didn't research that. I mean, I've been there 5 or 6 times during construction, and they're still working on it. I've never seen a parking problem there. I've been in the morning, been in the evening, but
Any other questions?
would it be okay if Tanya came up and said a few words, because she manages the property? And she's, she's there every day.
Now, before you sit down and we hear from these other people,
Oh, sure.
I want to make sure, that we're communicating that this is strictly for the people that are there.
That's correct.
You're
Yeah.
not looking at a rental piece of property to have somebody's wedding reception or have something
No,
else going on.
no, absolutely not. No, no.
All right, if you don't mind, have a seat for a few minutes, and the next person that wishes to speak, please step, relative to this, please step to the podium, give your name and what your comment is, please.
Can you hear me? Okay, I want to make sure it's on. My name is Tanya Marita. I'm the property manager for DMG Rentals 20. I feel that this clubhouse is it's a necessity. We'd be putting a rental office in it. Right now, I'm in a very small apartment, and when the people come in, they're kind of lined out. We're also going to be putting in an internet cafe so that kids need to come in, do their homework, need a printer. There it is. They have something to do during the COVID, which I know normally they go to school, but that's a big asset right now. We have a gym we're wanting to put in there, which I think would help a lot with tension. I mean, it just does. It gives them a place to go exercise in a safe area.
What's the square footage of this building?
I'm sorry,
What's the square footage of this building?
that he would know. Around 3,200 square feet. And we just don't have any other place. It's what used to be, he said basketball court, I was always informed it was tennis court, but it's a field as of right now. And the parking, we actually have an overflow parking lot in the back of where I'm currently, my office is in 622. What is nice about our apartment complex, you have parking on either side, except for the one bedrooms that go down the two buildings there. And we're putting the children's playground in between that. So that was going to be the clubhouse, but then we gave the children's a playground, so.
Is all those units two-story?
We actually have 3 levels. We have the basement, then your main level floor, and then your top.
So there's 3 levels.
Yes. And we have 1 and 2 bedrooms. And that's a total of, what did I say, 149, 149, I'm sorry, apartments. And it's a $4.5 million project. I just feel that it's a necessity, and it's something for our tenants, and it's a way to give back to the community for the people who live there.
I have a question. What's your
Yes.
percentage of occupancy? Are most of them rented, or are you looking at still trying to fill a bunch? What's
Oh,
that look
no,
like?
no, no, no. We are actually, well, it kind of makes me feel good to say that. I'm actually hitting at 100% occupancy, even though we're in the renovation phase, because I've already got the ones that are getting ready to move out on the 15th. I've already got them pre-leased. Everything's pre-leased. I don't know what's happening there, but we just can't, we don't have enough. They're in demand. So that's a good thing for us.
Can you tell me the average rent of a unit, one of your most popular?
Absolutely.
rented?
The average is for a 1-bedroom, $675, and then for the 2-bedroom, it's a $775. It's a $100 difference for the extra bedroom.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next person?
Good evening. My name's Donna Miller, and I reside at 3520 Alpha Court. My property is directly behind the apartment buildings that we're discussing. I've lived there for 47 years, and the apartments have always been a problem ever since they were built. I've erected a 6-foot privacy fence in the back because the building runs clear across the back of my property. The privacy fence hasn't helped a whole lot because if they're back there working on their cars in the lot, they're throwing their empty oil cans, their beer bottles. They throw it all over the fence, whether I've got a privacy fence or not. We have currently had property stolen. They've broken into my shed in the back and stolen a 5-gallon bucket of tools and boxes of tile. They've stolen they've stolen 4 room air conditioners out of my next door neighbor's shed. And we just really, I mean, those apartments have been up there for years. We really don't see a reason for a clubhouse party room. I understand that you do need a place to use for rentals, but I can't see the reason for another building. It devalues our property. We would have a hard time selling it. It's bad enough with the apartments back there that people are not going to want to move in or buy the property because we have the apartments in the back. We have no privacy. You know, the second floors, they're looking in your bedroom windows. On the 3rd floor, they're overlooking the neighbor's hot tub. We just don't see another reason for, I mean, I understand the reason for the building, but the idea of a clubhouse or a party room, we're opposed. I just can't see it. I have a neighbor here who is a substitute teacher at Arnett. Arnett's running out of room as far as students. I mean, they are packed. So that's another thing that you all need to consider. I mean, I know you're not planning on putting apartments in that building, but the fact that there's so many units up there and so many children, it's a concern. It really is. Bobby, can you think of anything else? Can you think of anything else we need to bring up? Okay, this is Mrs. Dolgus. You want to speak?
Wait a minute, let's see if anybody has any questions for you first. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, you're saying you lived there 47 years,
Yes, sir.
and they were built prior to your moving there, or built after you moved there?
Yes, sir.
And were they built by trees?
No, they're Steaders.
All right, okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, you said that your property abuts this, does your property actually abut the area where they're proposing to build a building, or does it at another spot where there's a building existing?
My house is in the center of the cul-de-sac, and there's an apartment building directly behind me.
Gotcha.
Then it would be my right, it would be your left. Down over the hill is where the tennis courts used to be. Now, on the other side of that apartment building, there used to be a swimming pool. Now, the swimming pool and the tennis courts have both gone by the way because nobody maintained them. Why couldn't they put this building on the other side where the swimming pool used to be? Okay. Oh. With a swimming pool used to be there? Okay, utilities there too, huh? Okay, I mean, they've used an apartment for years.
Okay, Donna, please, if you will, just go ahead and finish up, and then anything you have, we will address back to him and get you any kind of answer, okay? All right, we're trying to maintain some spacing and so on. So, anybody else have any questions for Donna? Now, you have any questions you would like for us to address to him, or you and him, either one? You said something about why didn't they use the tennis courts? Am I correct? And we will be happy to ask him that in a few minutes when he comes back up to get you an answer. Okay? All right, next person.
My name is Barbara Dolgus. I live at 3524 Alpha Court, which is 2 doors from Mrs. Miller. I've been there, it'll be 56 years in August, and when I moved in, the apartment buildings weren't there. We were never consulted whether we objected to them, whether it made any difference or not. They were just built. In fact, it was my next-door neighbor, Joe Stetter, who built the buildings, most of them. We have no privacy. Mine's property is not directly to the parking lot, but my neighbor's is. And when they are on the second floor on their balconies, we have profanities that have been yelled at us. We have no privacy. There's no other way of putting it, okay? Tires screech all night. There's 2 parking lots right there. We've always had to put up with a lot of that. Had crime, gunshots 2 weeks ago, took a little more made us feel more insecure. I'm opposed to any more apartment buildings. I'm opposed for them. Why can't they make it, some of that, a green space for the children that live in those apartments, if nothing else? We're packed in there like sardines now. As far as the school, if it's just a business building or so forth, I'm sure that won't make an impact on it. Our school is close to capacity, and we don't know what the school norm's going to be come fall, but I know there won't be 26 students in a classroom. So there's going to have to be some changes done there. It was mentioned that they would have an after-school program. Arnett has an after-school program for most, I would say for at least a third or more of their children are there. So I'm not sure the reason why that needs to be. My biggest concern, if it's a clubhouse, I know what the noise is now. I know a lot of people don't always follow the rules if it was 10 o'clock at night and it had to be over with. So I know we're going to have more noise. And if they're coming from the apartment buildings, if it's what I've been seeing for the last 50 years, I don't think it's going to stop. It's going to be more. So I'm totally opposed to any more. We need peace. Lord, the whole world needs peace right now, but we need peace. I'd like to be able to sit on my back patio in peace, and we can't. And if nothing's done about it, or if we don't speak up about it, you're going to move that closer to the whole cul-de-sac there. None of us will have any peace there. I'm totally opposed to anything. If it was a business, just for business, for your sales, I could understand it. But when you bring the clubhouse in, that makes me shiver a little bit, because I don't think we want that. I understand you want entertainment for your complex. You want it to look good, you want it to sound good, and you want more people to come and want to. But I'm very concerned about the noise level that it's going to bring.
Any questions for her? Thank you. You may be seated. Anybody else? All right, Mr. Joe, would you step back up, please, to the podium again? Yes, sir. All right, now, to answer Donna's question just previously, you said this was the place that you picked to set the building rather than put it anywhere else on that property. Is that correct?
Right.
Was there, a particular reason for that?
Why we chose this location?
Yes, sir.
Because there's another location that's even more restrictive than this. And everybody talks about it being a clubhouse. I don't think you'd have more than 12 or 15 people in the recreation area at any one time in the building. I'm sorry, I didn't bring the floor plans. I think I sent you the whole set of drawings, but I didn't bring the floor plan. And the floor plan shows 3 offices, a fireplace, a pool table, an area with 2 or 3 couches, and then a space for about 8 or 9 treadmills. And I'm sorry, we called it a clubhouse. I don't know that it's really a big gathering center, but I understand their concern. The other thing, I guess, is I understand their frustration with the apartment complex because they live in single-family houses. But neither one of these property owners is adjacent to this building. So I'm not sure how to address that.
Question.
Yeah.
You mentioned a gym
Well,
and
I think
a school area.
She said
Also, how
gym.
big a gym are we talking about, and how big an area for kids to study after school? So you're looking at 3 offices in the structure and a physical education facility that would hold up to 8 or 9 people
Okay.
at a time. It's not to be used as a party room for the residents.
Where there is a TV and a pool table, in that area, say if you're having a birthday party and you're attending there, you would come to me and schedule a time. And what they do is they leave, they place a deposit, make sure that you're getting to the room for 2 to 3 hours. Not sure if that's DMG's policy or not.
Okay. Thank you.
So we don't have, the board does not have a picture of the actual finished building. And
Yeah.
Mr. Stewart showed it to me. So I guess my question is, if it's not correct, we don't have that elevation. We don't have that up here, and that's okay. You may want to give it to them so they can see it and pass it around, and maybe some folks back here. I guess my question is, if it's not meant for gatherings per se, then why the patio on the back?
Good point. I mean, it is for gathering, but it's not like you're going to have 50 people there.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, that does
Yeah,
feed
that's
into
true.
some of
Yeah.
their concerns. I mean,
I'll tell you,
if I lived at 3518, I'd be concerned
Yeah.
about a patio with 35 people.
Well, then maybe the solution should be that we should provide a privacy fence, a vision-type privacy fence along the rear property line.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is. I was just trying to make
Yeah.
folks aware that this is not just a structure where everything's interior. I mean, there is
Yeah.
going to be an outside
Yeah,
space.
right.
And looking at 3520 and 3518, I mean, it's going to be right on 3518's property line if there's a patio. Is it? Yeah. But regardless, I mean, just from the plot that I'm looking at, so I mean, you know, if it were just it's being sold as just an office, you know, space,
get
but
it.
it does have a patio on the
I
back,
get it,
so
yeah, I get it, sure.
it's,
Yeah.
I'm not insinuating you're being misleading, but
Right.
we don't have that information. I just wanted people to know
Yeah.
that, especially the folks up here.
Tanya, if I could ask some questions. Have you guys thought about maximum occupancy on how many folks, if people do put in an application to rent? And have you thought about an application and what the deposit is, what the hours of operation, things like that? Is there any kind of procedures put to thought, or what does that look like? Oh, sorry. And I'm talking about using this space, not in their regular apartments, but if somebody would put in an application to use this room, because I understand
Okay.
using the printer for the kids if they don't have internet at home or a
Right.
printer. I get coming in and out or printing an application or printing something. I understand the fitness, but I just want to understand more of
Well, let's
folks
say-
using this recreation area.
Absolutely. What I would say is if there's 4 computers, that would be the maximum in the computer room, because you couldn't have any more in there. It would be 1 person per computer. With the gym, it's, like I said, it's going to be very small, you know, just be a couple treadmills and this and that. And just based on my experience, can I give you an exact number? No, but we have to follow occupancy, whatever code is, obviously. But the thing is with that I've worked in this field for 10 years now. And what I see is just 1 or 2 people come in for the gym, 1 or 2 people will go. I do see them rented out, and the most I've ever seen show up for a birthday party's been about maybe 15 people. And it's usually like a baby shower or something like that.
Would you have
It's-
hours where they would have to go by, like 10
Yes,
PM? Or, I mean,
absolutely.
when does this party shut down?
Yes, we would have, and that would be up to corporate. I'm not going to lie, I don't have that authority to make that decision. But I would abide by their rules. But as far as apartments, like they're worried about it increasing growth, it can't, because we only allow 2 heartbeats per bedroom, and that includes an infant. We consider that a heartbeat. So that's, in a 2-bedroom, your maximum occupancy is 4.
In the
So-
other properties, and if you can't answer it, that's okay, but
Okay.
in the other properties that they may own, do they have other clubhouses that they rent out?
Absolutely.
And do you know anything about what their hours of operation and?
Well, I believe that on the weekends, do you know that? Okay, go ahead.
Thanks, appreciate it. I've probably done 6 clubhouses for DMG. And-
Step a little closer to the mic, please.
Yes, I've probably done 6 clubhouses for DMG. Carlisle, Cincinnati, Forest Park, Coleraine Township. We did one farther south in Florence. They're all about this size. And that's part of DMG being successful, in that they provide a focal point for the residents to meet, to find out what the repairs are, when they can come, when they can go, how to rent a unit.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out if somebody comes and they want to rent the recreation area for a
Yeah.
birthday party, for a grandma's
hour and a half, 2
anniversary.
hours, yeah.
You know, is that what the other properties do, is they say you can have it for 120 minutes? Is that?
Yeah, right.
Just trying to look at quality of life issues for the neighbors here.
Right.
If, you know, if they're on the back patio, you know, on a nice Saturday evening, what time is this going to shut down? Is it going to be 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
10 o'clock, 1 a.m.?
Yeah.
Those are little differences. Okay, thank you.
Because we have to go lock it back up.
Okay,
So
okay.
One quick question before you sit down,
Yeah.
young lady.
Yeah, I have another one for you too, sorry. Go ahead, Rui.
Go ahead.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay. And since your office will be located in here,
Yes.
have you guys thought about any more oversight for some of these other issues, you know, of profanity, if that's happening during the day hours? Is there any plans to address those issues?
I'm really glad you brought that up, because here's the thing, DMG has taken these buildings and they were in very, very bad shape. There wasn't much of a screening process before we took over.
When did you take over? I'm sorry.
We took over in August.
Okay.
I believe, yeah.
So it's
We're-
not been a year yet?
Yes, correct. What we do is we have increased the credit scoring system. We run a complete background check on people. If I hear offensive language, they do get a notice on their door. It's a violation. It's what we call a generic lease violation. No, I'm not there in the nights. Some nights I have stayed till 7:30, 8 o'clock because I had to. And if I see things going on that I find inappropriate, an example, I saw children riding their little bikes in the cul-de-sac. I'm like, no, you can get hurt. Talk to the parents. They made the kids go in. That's why we want the playground, so they have something there. But I think we're getting in, how would you put it? I've got to think carefully on this. We're just setting up higher qualifications for people to move into there. We're trying to make it a safe environment for everybody by doing the background checks. And absolutely no criminal activity is allowed on our premises. And if they are evicted.
Do you guys take a deposit to put in an application? Do they have to pay a fee to
Yeah,
apply?
they pay a $45 background fee. So we run credit and background. And we're very strict on what we allow. You know, there's some misdemeanors, but it depends on what type of misdemeanor too. So I feel like we're providing a safe community for everybody. And if somebody wants someone to move in, that person still, doesn't matter if they're relative or not, they still have to have a background check. So it's going to take some time, but we're getting there.
And then do you have an open door policy? So if neighbors do have an issue, there's a way to contact you so you can go and address as kind of being the
Absolutely.
liaison to the community there?
Absolutely, and that's what I tell people when they move in there. You have a problem with your neighbor, please go through me. It avoids a lot of trouble, and I take it very seriously because it's a home for everybody, not just
And does that
one
work also
person.
for these folks that live behind the complex? Are they able to come? I
Yes.
mean, right now, it seems like you're a little bit more hidden in your office. This
Nobody
might be
can
a more
find me,
focal-
I know.
So they could also come over and say some
Absolutely.
issues of different things that
If they
might
were
need
having
addressed.
trouble with the tenants, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, vote.
I think he might have you too.
Okay.
All right, next question. Are you currently housing government subsidized people?
No, sir, we're a full market rent company.
In other words, all your people are self-paid?
Yes. The apartments that are close to us are, I think it's Ashworth or something like that. Those are subsidized housing, but we no longer are. When we bought it out, it was. We have since remedied
You all
that.
bought it in August,
Yes, sir.
and for the intent and purpose of doing what?
To renovate it and to provide better housing. I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. What our
Well-
intentions are?
Well, what I'm saying is, I guess my question is that, are you upgrading the units? You said you're putting in standards that they have to approve to even get in? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And we have remodeled the insides. They're absolutely beautiful. And they do it in steps. We've got new brick put up on the outside. We have improved the looks of that place already with this just partially being done. It's amazing what this company can do with property. They're beautiful. And they're getting ready to put the siding on. We've got all new windows, all new sliding glass doors, all new balconies with new railings. It's amazing.
All right.
Were you employed with the property before the new ownership took over, or did you come with the new owners?
I actually got hired in with the new owners after they had been there, so
Great, thank you.
I was a property manager elsewhere.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I think, Mr. Stewart, that at the time these units were built by Mr. Satters and stuff, that Erlanger was working very hard on city ordinances, and there was a lot of things that happened then that would have to come under what the city ordinances are now, that didn't then. You know, as far as density and building and everything.
Yeah, these were built in the 1970, 1972 range. I don't remember what the zoning ordinance was at that time, but it's not the same as we have now.
Okay.
We're on our third one since then, and getting ready to start our fourth one here in the next year.
All right, now, next question to you is that the application says for a variance of 25 feet,
Yes, sir.
but actually what they're asking for is in between the lines, they're saying we want a conditional use to be able to use that building as a multi-purpose building, which is a twofold, correct?
Well, my interpretation is the building is an accessory use to the apartment complex
Accessory use, okay.
because it's supposed to be for the rental office, the small gym and some bathrooms and stuff. So it's not, I mean, what they have on the plans is actually 2,500 square feet, what was submitted to me. So it's a really small building. It's not going to hold a lot of people. They're actually showing 29 occupants maximum capacity. I don't see where you're going to get 29 in there anyway, just to be comfortable on a normal day, not what we're in now. So my interpretation is this building use was going to be an accessory to the apartment complex, so it would not be a conditional use.
Okay.
But that's,
All right, with that being said, now we're going to close all discussion, to the audience. And we're ready for it. Does anybody on the board have any comments? Then a motion's in order, Mr. Stewart.
I'd like to make a motion. First of all, I'd like to say that I think this is going in the right directions with what you people are doing back there as far as renovations. And it's an area that has needed some work for some time. So I would like to make a motion to grant the application of Mr. Jim Ritter to construct a one-story building 25 feet from the rear property line. The granting of this variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. This motion shall be pursuant and the factual determinations from the evidence provided, including without limitations to the staff report, which is hereby determined to be accurate.
You've heard the motion. Second.
I'll second.
Motion been made and second. Roll call vote, Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Armbruster.
No.
Mr. Molly.
No.
Ms. Peters.
Yes.
Mr. Conley.
Yes?
Mr. Newsom.
No. Motion denied. Okay, that concludes the first request of the evening. You have another request of the evening, Mr. Stewart?
Yes, sir. If we could take a couple minutes to get everybody situated here.
Sir?
We could take a couple minutes to get everybody situated here.
Thank you all for coming.
Okay, looks like everybody's here.
Sir?
I think everybody's ready to go, so, you want me to go ahead and start then?
All right.
You ready?
You ready?
Okay. The second case of the evening is from Ms. Kelly Bailey Vu, agent for the property owner. And they're appealing the zoning administrator's decision / interpretation on the location of an accessory structure on the property. The applicant's proposing to install an in-ground pool in the right side yard. The site is located on Twin Ridge Way in the Sherborne subdivision and currently has a detached single-family residence. All of the adjoining properties currently have a detached single-family residence. All the properties are within the R1C zone, which allows single-family residential dwellings detached and qualified manufactured homes. Per Direction 2030, which is the area-wide comprehensive plan update, which was adopted on September 4th, 2014, the land use plan is recommended to be, all the properties to have residential uses with a density of 4.1 to 7.0 dwelling units per net acre. The applicant is proposing to install an in-ground pool in the right side yard. Section 9.10E states that accessory structures and uses shall not be permitted in any front or side yard, on each side lot in any zone. Section 7.0 defines front yard depth as an area extending the full width of the lot or building site measured between a line parallel to the street right-of-way line intersecting the foremost point of any building, excluding steps and unenclosed porches and the front lot line as defined herein. It also defines the front lot line as the common boundary line of a lot and a street right-of-way line. The rear yard depth is defined as an area extending across the full width of the lot and measured between a line parallel to the rear lot line as herein defined, which intersects the rearmost point of any building excluding the steps, unenclosed porches, and the rear lot line. The rear lot line is defined as the boundary of a lot which is most nearly opposite of the front lot line of such lot. The side yard depth is defined as an area between any building and the side lot line as defined herein, extending from the front to the rear yard or on through lots or building sites from one lot line to the other front lot line. And the side lot line is defined as a boundary of a lot other than a front lot line or a rear lot line. And then I also found information today, which I gave before you, about potential conflicting information with that sentence, stating that the swimming pool shall be to the rear of the dwelling on the lot. So that was on the second packet of paper I gave you today, the could be conflicting information for you guys to ponder.
All right, those of you going to speak for or against, please stand and raise your right hand. Y'all swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? One of you making the request? All right, would you please step to the podium, turn it on, state your name?
My name is Nick Mayer. My address is 1599 Twin Ridge Way.
Okay, and your reason for your request?
So the reason is obviously to install a pool in what we just considered was our backyard. A lot of what he talked about was not, I'm not up on zoning, so as he explained some of this when he came out, it was a surprise to me, apologies. So I wasn't aware that this was an issue, that the area behind my house was not in fact my backyard. So what I've done is we talked to our neighbors, neighbor 2 adjacent to us and across from us that may actually be able to view the pool from across the street, and then both of our neighbors directly behind us, and I have that here, just saying that they have no issues with us installing the pool. And then I guess the reason that the confusion from my part was just at the plot plan that was submitted by Dries and provided to me that I assume was approved by the city, just calls rear setback behind the house. It shows 25-foot minimum rear setback, and the side just shows 5-foot minimum side setbacks. So when I found out about this ordinance, I was surprised, and really at that point it was just, okay, what can we do about it? Which led us to the variance and what led me here.
Okay, now, to the rear of your house. When you go out back, you step down the lower level exit. In other words, that's existing house now. The lower level is an existing house. You got the front, you got a deck on the right-hand side, correct?
Correct.
And then the lower level exists. What does that mean?
So you're specifically asking about the lower level exit? I'm sorry.
Main level exit, lower level exit. In other words, that's all house, the whole thing, the white part
Correct, yes.
is the house? All right, now, from the rear of the house, on the rear part, in the back, okay? How much change in elevation there for the size pool you're putting in, they're looking at putting in?
Specifically, you're asking what size of the pool?
No, ma'am, or no, sir. I said the change in elevation of the land. Does the land go up or does it go down?
It goes down once you get out past where we'd like to put the pool.
So in other words, if you came off the deck, turn left, and then turn left again, there's not space there to put a pool behind that house?
No.
For what reason?
So, and I guess it's a little hard to tell in this picture. If I had to estimate from what is officially considered our backyard, so come off the deck, left, to what I consider my side yard is about, we measured, I want to say it's 15 or 16 feet from the side of the house to where it starts dropping off. Steep enough to where you couldn't put a pool there, you couldn't build on it, you couldn't put any sort of structure. The grade is not steep enough to where you could fall and hurt yourself, but it's steep enough to where a pool would not go there.
Well, are you looking at a in-ground pool, obviously?
Correct.
I assume it's kind of like a gunite pool or something where you form it, pour it, and stay. Or does it have a liner?
So we haven't nailed that detail down specifically because of the uncertainty with having to go through this, but essentially what our builder, who we're probably going to go with a local builder.
What's the size, right now, your prediction of a pool, what size is it?
16 by 30 if, and again, depending on the builders and their expertise or professional opinion, I guess I should say, that could go smaller just because of how much flat space we have. It will definitely not be bigger than that.
Any pools in your neighborhood?
What's that, I'm sorry?
Any pools in your neighborhood?
There is 3 or 4 that I know of with, coincidentally, on the corner of our street, one of them is a corner lot, so it's viewable as you come down the street, which, because of the way their house sits, I get that that's a different circumstance, but it stands out in my mind when you ask that.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, this gentleman?
This is not the first time we've dealt with a lot in Sherborne, especially in the cul-de-sac, so I know exactly, we've dealt with this before. Is where the confusion lies, was way back in the beginning before this house was built, was there an assumption that it was going to face this way and you were going to have a side entry garage? Is that why why your backyard is essentially labeled your side yard?
The way I understand it is, well, I'm not sure that I do understand
Well,
it,
but some of these lots in Sherborne, I'm very familiar with this neighborhood.
Okay.
I live in Lakemont, so I know exactly where you are.
Gotcha.
But some of these lots, with their grade and the way that they're sliced, can be difficult. So I'm just wondering, had this house been turned, or maybe originally it was supposed to face up the street versus facing kind of basically your other neighbor in the cul-de-sac. I mean, is that where the confusion may lie? I mean, this is just some sort of, not a clerical error, but just, kind of got lost in translation. When you built your house and you said, these are the plans, we want it facing this way. Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Please. Can you
First of all,
state your name, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for hearing us today. My name is Ray Navarevich, and I work for the Dries Company. Been there 25 years, and president of the local home building division here. So, in our interpretation, when we sold the home site to Mr. Mayor, was that it really the rear yard was, as you can read on the plot plan and in the record plat, is the rear yard is all the way to the back of the lot. Yeah. So, in essence, the facing of the front of the house is to the driveway. It's a private drive. It's the last home site on that private drive. There's not another home past this home or another home site past this home. And so we faced the house so that virtually you came down the private drive and turned right into the house to the front of the garage. And so if the plot plan, the orientation of the house on the plot plan shows that it really does face the rear yard, or for at least the setback requirement says rear setback. So, and then the left side of his home is really a 5-foot side yard. So is how it goes. So if we would have reorientated the house, I think you're right.
Yeah.
then it would have been a backyard over here and a side yard over here.
Well, he wouldn't have had a backyard because it would have been
He
hill
wouldn't have
down.
had any backyard at all, right?
All right.
So,
Okay.
but I think that's part of it.
I just
But if-
wanted to be clear on what we're looking
I
at.
think you're right.
I mean, we've had some issues with these lots in the back. Some of them are just difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
It's nobody's fault.
So
It's just his
by
work.
location, it's really walking out his back door is walking down to the pool.
Okay.
Without making
Right.
a left or a right or
Right.
anything else. Coming
Right.
down off the patio, or off the deck, he walks right down to his pool.
Yeah, I mean, I think in reality, if you saw the pool in, it wouldn't stand out as,
Never.
oh, he has that pool in his side yard, because unless you're looking at this plot, you would never realize that it's his side.
You would never,
side yard.
right.
Right.
There's no way to, actually, I'm sure even without this much of a detail, he probably didn't understand. and-
Sure, sure, okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
I'm still a bit confused. When you go into the front of your front door, are you actually in the blue heading in? You got it's what I would call a satellite lot. You have a driveway that comes off the cul-de-sac, and then you make a right-hand turn off the driveway into your front door?
Correct.
So that would be the front of your house?
That's what I assumed, yes.
So it's labeled the side of your house?
Per ordinance, I suppose, yes.
Can't see that. I can't, that's why I'm so confused, because I just, the front door is the front of a house to me, but
I'm glad I'm not the only one confused. I mean,
thank
I
you.
understand how,
Glad I'm not alone.
the way things are worded, and that's why I was just really surprised. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought to even look into this, which is why, again, we're here, so.
Any other question? Okay, that'll close it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, all questions been said. Motion's in order.
A question on the motion. It was stated in the motion that it is against the KRS for us to allow this to be placed in the side yard, is that correct?
That's my interpretation of what the KRS, it doesn't fall under the category of variance or non-conforming use or conditional use. That's, if you look at the KRS written in the staff report, it's the KRS 100.247. So that's again, once again, my interpretation of the state statutes.
So in order for us to okay this, we would have to change our interpretation, what's front and backyard, is that in order to?
This is a lot, as there are several in Sherborne and other parts of the city that do not fit into the mold of the zoning ordinance. So, I mean, this isn't a cookie cutter lot like we have in most of the city. Their front yard is the front at the street, and it's a difficult situation.
So if it gets approved by us, does he take it to the zoning commission? How does this work?
If you guys approve it, then that means I issue a permit for a pool, and when he gets ready to get to that point. And it'll be in the side yard, what I'm calling, interpreting as a side yard, and that approximate location about, 5-10 feet from the deck.
That pool, would that pool have to be fenced?
The pool will have to be fenced, yes, and they're aware of that. They're, from my conversation, it seemed like the fence would be going in before the pool at this point, so.
How far will the fence extend past the pool? Will it go all the way down the side of the house?
Going away from the house or going to the house?
If it goes around the pool, that section coming back to the house, how far will it extend? To the back deck?
That's up to them. I know the pool has to be completely enclosed by a fence. They mentioned the fence, right now, the main reason for the fence is because of their dogs. They don't want them wandering the neighborhood, especially to the left going down the hill, down the Richardson Road. So my assumption is they're going to fence in as much of the yard as they can possibly can so the dogs have some room to roam.
Isn't a fence required around a swimming pool?
No. It's either around the pool or around the yard,
Okay.
is how we interpret that.
No further questions? All right, we'll close the discussion. Motion's in order.
I'll make a motion. I make a motion to approve the appeal of the zoning administrator's decision interpretation, Mr. Kelly Bailey View's request to install an in-ground pool to the right side yard for the following reasons. I believe it can be put in the back of the house. Well, the interpretation of what is front and back of the house, I believe it could still be put in there. If it's no objection to any of the neighbors, I believe it could be put in there and probably would be the best location for this. I don't think it is an unreasonable circumvention of the regulations, nor is it any problem with health, safety, welfare, or the general vicinity. So,
I'll
And that's
second
my
his
motion.
motion.
thank you.
All right, motion been made and second that the pool be limited to the rear of the house. Is that correct? Is that your motion? In other words, your motion stating,
Directly behind the deck is what we're
right.
now calling
All right,
The rear of the house as it sits?
the rear of the house, yes.
okay,
The opposite
motion
of
been
the
made
front.
and seconded. Roll call vote, Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Conley? Mr. Armbruster?
Yes.
Mr. Molly? Mr. Newsom?
Yes. Okay, so you have, your motion has been heard. Mr. Stewart, do you have any other requests for the evening?
We do have one, the Girl Scout facilities down here.
Yes, sir?
We have a question on the motion, or the motion that was made and approved by the board of, it said that the development shall be done within the time period.
Within 1 year,
It was 2 years. It was,
2 years?
because they said it should be done in 18 to 24 months, depending on their capital campaign. They wanted to know if we meant that, the board meant that the project had to be completely done within 24 months, or a significant amount, or what the board's interpretation, what they meant by when they approved that motion to give them 24 months to finish the project, or complete the development.
I think I'll go back and kind of address this a little bit. My understanding was that if they didn't apply for a building permit within 1 year, then then that was null and void. Now, have they applied for a building permit yet?
No.
So in other words, are they asking for an extension for a fundraiser, or are they asking for an extension?
They're asking, it says that the motion was to develop the property within 2 years of the day of the board's decision, and what did the board mean by develop the property? So if they need to ask for an extension, then I'm going to have them come back before the board for another hearing, because everybody, all the neighbors and everybody is going on this 2-year approval that was made on January 28th of last year. they're asking now before the time period is up of what they need to do. Because from my understanding, the capital campaign's not been as successful as they'd like to be, as quickly as they want it to be. So they may have to ask for an extension, but they're wanting to know what, because the state statute says that, let me pull it up real quick here.
So you're saying it's a 2-year period that they must apply for a building permit within that 2-year period?
Well, the state statute says that if the conditional use permit has not been exercised within the time limit set by the board, then they have to come back before the board for a public hearing. And exercise is defined as being binding contracts for the construction of the main building or other improvement has been let, or the main building or other improvement is under construction to a substantial degree, is what the state statutes define. So I'm just asking the board if they had to be just a contract in hand within the 2 years, or they have to be well under construction in 2 years. If they have to be well under construction, then they may have to come back before the board for additional extension.
My understanding is, how long is a building permit good for?
For that, it'd be a year and a half.
So my understanding was that they had to apply for a building permit, and they have not done so.
No.
So my point is, and maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but somewhere down the line, they either have an intentional use and going to use that property, or they aren't. And so I think that they need to go ahead within the amount of time and get the permit.
So apply for a permit, get approval for a permit within the 2 years of the board's decision.
Yeah, the permit comes through you.
Yes.
Right. Does anybody else? You understand what I'm saying? I think that's what the state is saying.
Okay, well then I will tell them that they have until January of next year to apply for a building, or get a building permit from the city to do the
And that
construction.
building then must be constructed then within a year and a half.
Right, the limits set by the building
Yeah.
permit. Okay,
Right. Okay,
all right, then I will pass that on to the people.
okay. Anything else?
That is it, sir.
All right, motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second? All in favor say aye. Aye.